Good morning and welcome to Pot Up with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to carry. John Cornell, Shane Matthews on a Tuesday morning.
Tuesday, baby.
Getting ready for conference tournament play. Big weekend on campus. If you want to send us a text, remember at 8:30 we're going to have Chris Leak, the all-time leading pastor at the University of Florida, will join us via the Titan MRI hotline. You can also send us a text or you can Facebook Live us a question. And Facebook Live questions and comments are brought to you by Pound Hurt, your personal injury attorneys. On campus today, JC, big day and night on campus.
Yeah.
So I know you don't have a whole lot going on unless you're playing golf, but the semis are rolling into town. The Gator baseball is 16-0. Florida State. The Gators have won the last 11 games in this series, and they're 24-5 since 2012 against the semis. So this place is going to be packed tonight because the Gators are 16-0, number one team in the country. Also, Davis Chevy T-shirt giveaway. So you need a new T-shirt. So get there early. Make sure you get the right size.
Yeah.
Get double X, JC, because they're probably 100% cotton, and when you shrink it, it'll fit you then.
I know that Davis
go double
Chevrolet
X. Go double X.
Go double X. Okay.
If you get to choose. Also on campus at 2 o'clock, you got your number 7 softball Lady Gators, coached by Tim Walton. They got the Penn Quakers are in town. Tomorrow, the semis are rolling into Katy Shoal. So you got that tomorrow.
Man,
and then today, if you're a lacrosse fan, at noon, the 19th ranked Navy, they're the midshipmen, but do you think they call the lacrosse girls the midshipmen?
No, they're the middies, the lady middies.
Lady middies. Okay, well, they're number 19. The Gators are at number 8.
Yeah,
that's at noon if you want to go. So you can go watch lacrosse at noon. Then hop on over to KDC Shoal at 2.
Right.
Watch that. Then go get something to eat real quick, and then head back to McKeithen.
I'm sure you're all over all that.
I might. You never know. It's going to be a beautiful day here in Gainesville.
It really is. It's going to be nice and warm. And I think the baseball team, the thing that impresses me the most is that when they play Game 3 of a series, it's just as important as any other game, even though they've already won the series. I love the way the intensity has stayed with these guys in every baseball game. Baseball is one of those sports where, because of all the games you play, you have this tendency sometimes, and we've seen it before with all teams, to maybe have a little bit of a letdown or not play as hard, perhaps, and it's not intentional. It's just that's human nature, right? This team doesn't seem to come out to the ballpark with that mindset. They come out and they start swinging, and the pitchers are really good.
It's early.
So
they got Florida State, who's ranked 15th, and then
team.
You know who comes in this weekend? Who?
Yeah,
the Georgia Bulldogs.
Yeah,
you know what they're ranked?
The SEC. What?
Number 2 in the country.
Well, let's bring it on.
And speaking of that, there are 11 teams in the SEC ranked in the top 25. Florida at 1, Georgia at 2, Ole Miss 5, Vandy 7, Auburn 14, Arkansas 15.
Where's Mississippi State?
Mississippi State is 17th, LSU's 19th, Tennessee's at 20.
LSU's 19th.
Alabama's ranked 21st. Well, and A&M's at 23.
Well, no, there's no question this is the best league in baseball. It's the best league in softball. It's got the most teams that play in the best climate and the best geography of America, right? I mean, this is where you
rank
have
the
that.
SEC above the Pac-12 in softball?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know why I wouldn't. Florida goes over there and plays everybody, and then they play them together. I mean, would they beat Arizona State and Arizona already this year?
Yeah, they lost to UCLA, though.
But in a tight game, could have gone any way. And I don't know. I mean, this is not Florida's. I mean, they don't have the expectations this year to win it all, although they could very easily do that. But, I mean, they're not going out to California to just beat up on all the Pac-12 teams like they did, thinking that, we're not. So I think the Pac-12 is great, sure, in softball. But I think in the SEC, you've got the best of both sports. You got the best baseball. You got the best softball. You have the most teams that compete the hardest. They have the best stadiums, the best arenas, the best fans. And I'm not trying to be a homer about it. I just look at it. It's pretty obvious, isn't it? I mean, look at what UCLA plays in. They play in something that you would see at a junior college in Mississippi.
No, it's
softball.
Worse. It's worse.
Right. So it's worse. So that's even worse. Hey, what did I miss yesterday with my man Dan? Did I miss anything exciting?
Well, you should have watched the show.
I was dealing with a 2,000-point drop in the Dow and the coronavirus everywhere. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, now we're talking about
coronavirus is the most overblown thing I've ever seen in my life.
We're going to have basketball arenas without spectators now. Really? All right, seriously?
But here's the thing, JC. More people still have died from the regular flu
I know
than
all
this
the stats.
thing. I don't understand it.
It's absurd. But
Wash your hands,
well,
folks.
we got a lesson in behavioral economics yesterday. But I think washing your hands and keeping your hands off your face is a great idea.
And don't shake people's hands.
Even if we didn't have a coronavirus, we could do this. There. See there? We're all over it.
Just head nod, folks.
Oh, yes.
What's up?
In church, that's what we do now. Instead of saying, peace be with you, we go, peace be with you.
You should have been fist bumping.
Peace be with you, QB. I think it's important that people just stay aware of things, and eventually the weather. And by the way, around here, QB, you like hot weather. It's about to be in the upper 80s for about 10 straight days coming up. So that kind of thing also helps people get outside, get away, quit congregating in such indoor place. It's going to help this whole hysteria about the coronavirus. So I do think, however, with all the kids coming back from spring break and taking those cruises and all this, who knows what we're going to see here in Gainesville, but I'm hoping for the best, certainly.
We got a Facebook Live comment here from John, says, and it's brought to you by Pound Hurt, your preferred personal injury attorneys. He says, it is the best league in baseball, no doubt, referring to the SEC. He says, tonight's game won't be close. His Noles can't hit this year. I don't see the streak of 40-plus wins continuing this season. 40-plus years of 40 or more wins, go Noles. I think they get – I don't know who we're pitching tonight. Obviously, we're not going to pitch one of our aces because we have Georgia coming up this weekend in a 3-game series. So
I agree with that. Basketball, too. The tournament's about to start on Wednesday.
Well, a lot of teams – some teams have already punched their ticket. Liberty, Bradley, Peanut Gallery, help me out here. Who else has punched their – Utah State, who upset San Diego State in the Mountain West
tournament
championship game.
That's right.
Utah State's a team that Florida lost to in a close game down in the Orange Bowl Classic.
Good ball.
They're very good. They're going to the dance. So
could be a good seed.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens now because Florida State, in my opinion, has a chance to be a 1 seed over San Diego State. If they got
to play well in this tournament.
I don't think they have to win the ACC tournament. I think if they just make a run in it.
Well, if they get to the weekend and play.
Because I don't think Baylor should be a 1 seed anymore.
Right. They've had some struggles here lately, but you got to put 4 teams in there somewhere, and Kansas is certainly going to be the 1 overall seed, I do believe.
Well, Kansas and Gonzaga, you can pencil those two in.
They're both in. Dayton is really making a case. They're running hard, playing well. They've got one of the most exciting players in Toppin. So you could look at Dayton perhaps. They've got a gaudy record. And in about 8 to 10 minutes, we're going to have Jackie Spreads in here to talk about the tournament, to talk about the games that he likes going forward because it is Tuesday.
And on the Titan MR text line, we this must be a friend of yours, JC.
Okay.
Butterballs. Do you know Butterballs?
I don't know who this guy.
Well, Butterballs,
and he probably likes it that way. How do we know it's a he too?
Yeah, that's true. He says Tom Brady's responsible for the coronavirus, and Tom Brady doesn't wash his hands. Says Butterballs.
Well, anybody who's a New York Jets fan or Buffalo Bills fan or Miami Dolphins fans believes Tom Brady is the cause of all the world's problems. So there's no doubt about that. Tom Brady's got all the leverage in his negotiating, and I'm really am fascinated, even though you might not be. I'm fascinated to find out where is he going to go? What is New England going to do if they don't sign him?
Where are you
putting your money on? Jared Stidham, the future of the Patriots?
Well, I read or heard somewhere that Tannehill may be going to the Patriots.
Yeah, that's true, too. He's going to be looking for a lot of money. So a long-term deal for Tannehill, much younger than Tom Brady, and that will open up the gates for Tennessee, who have so much cap space that if they were to somehow get Tom Brady for 2 years, they could probably sign Derrick Henry for longer if they want to. But, the money's made in the slot, QB. I don't know about the running back position for money. I know Zeke got his money, but really with the way the game is played today, I don't think running backs have a whole lot to stand on. Their careers are not long. So running backs I don't know what Derek is expecting, but he's also a free agent. It's going to be interesting to see what he does with Tennessee as well.
You weren't here yesterday, so I win the golf contest.
You did?
Yes, because McElroy finished the highest.
Yeah, he gagged.
You saw where my South Korean guy finished third.
Which one was that? You had a couple of them.
This was Sungjae M.
Who?
Not Ben An.
Sungjae M.
Yeah,
very good.
He came in third.
He did. I watched it. Very consistent. Listen, I was down there on Saturday, QB. Or I'm sorry, it was Friday after the show, and the wind was blowing. That course was playing.
Let me tell you something.
I couldn't believe those.
Whoever set up Bay Hill, I salute them because those tournaments I hate to watch.
Got to tell you, man,
but they played it like a major.
I've got to tell you, the rough was this high.
That's what I'm talking about. That's
rough
why
this high.
every week should be like that on tour.
To give you an example of one of the holes, just to give you an example, number 6 is a par 5 around a lake. It's very reachable in 2 nowadays. It wasn't in the past, but they drive it over the lake about 320, 330 yards. If you drive it too far, you're in that rough, or you're in the bunker. Rory drove it in the bunker 346, 56 yards on Sunday. He made a 6 coming out of the bunker from 100 yards. So maybe it was a little longer than that, but it wasn't much longer than that. And that course played with the wind blowing, especially around the lake holes, which is on the front 9, it's 3, 4, 6. And on the back 9, it's 11 and 13. And it made them crazy.
Yep.
The wind made these guys crazy. And this guy Terrell Hatton, a British player, who's been very good on the European tour, comes through and wins it. And nobody knew who he was. Why didn't we pick him?
Well, I mean, there's only like 100-something players.
I didn't even know who the guy was before he won it. And
He's in the Ryder Cup every year.
Well, a lot of times these players that you don't know of, they come out and they win one of these kind of tournaments right here, and then they're on tour for 2 years.
Yeah, they get exempt. So I think now it's going to be time for
Masters too.
Be time for your favorite segment of the new on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Are we going to do it now? Oh, let's get John again here real quick. I hope the Noles don't draw Kentucky. Yeah, sure. Kansas or Gonzaga. I get it. The length of it talks about the defense they bring in is not seen on a regular basis in other leagues. My only worry is that we don't shoot well. We being Florida State sometimes, and you just don't know when some lower seed will have a guy go off from 3-point arc. That's the thing and the beauty of the tournament, isn't it? These teams, like I got a bracket buster right here.
Well, y'all can talk about it.
I got a bracket buster.
Let's go ahead and get the Jackie Spreads segment before we go to break. I'm going to slide out of here.
Come over here, and I'm going to go over here. This is called transition, ladies and gentlemen. This is there he is. There he is, our Tuesday and Thursday spread expert and college basketball and sports enthusiast, Jackie Spreads, which is brought to you by Port Charlotte Dentistry, the Gator Nation's #1 choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. I love me some Port Charlotte. Thank you for that, Joe. Good job. Jackie Spreads, here we are, bub. How was your weekend?
My weekend was phenomenal, JC. I played some golf. I hammered some spreads. I made the bookie cry on Friday. Saturday, not so much. As I said in my debut, if you gamble for long enough, all you're going to end up doing is break even. You're going to have some great days. You're going to have some bad days.
Yeah.
It's March.
Yeah.
Let's do this.
Let's get the madness.
Let's do this. It's starting, folks. The madness begins today. We got the ACC Tournament beginning today. Wake Forest is playing Pittsburgh. Virginia Tech is playing North Carolina. This North Carolina team is very interesting to me going into this tournament,
Me
JC.
too.
What do you think about it?
I love the way they were close, didn't win, but didn't quit either. And even though they knew their record during the regular season wasn't going to get them in, they have everything to play for now. So that means there's a whole new season for them to play for. Every game is a season ender for them, as far as they're concerned.
Exactly. And if you look back at their little 6-game losing streak they had in January and February this year, I think their point differential during that whole time was single digits.
Yeah,
they lost a ton of heartbreakers. Like, this team isn't that bad. They're not as bad as their record says.
Well, that guard playing too.
Cole Anthony is great. He was out for a long time this season as well. A lot of people forget that. I really think it's interesting. This ACC tournament's really catching my eye. Obviously, the Big Ten has been the best conference all year. That's going to be the hardest one to pick. But you got teams like Virginia and Florida State and North Carolina as a sleeper. North Carolina has the talent to go deep. I don't care what anybody says. Their record doesn't reflect it. They have the talent. They're still North Carolina. I like them to go to the weekend. I really do. And I like Virginia to win this tournament.
Who else do you like right now for these conference tournaments going forward? You got the SEC tournament, the Big Ten.
In the SEC, I really had this fascination with Mississippi State this year. Their length has been phenomenal. Arkansas is another team who got injury plagued this year. But all in all, we know it's Kentucky's to lose. Kentucky's been by far the best team in this conference all year. I mean, you can make the argument for Florida talent-wise, but the consistency just hasn't been there. I'm really excited for this week when the teams who got a bye actually start playing. But I think this is Kentucky's to lose. I mean, even Auburn has looked bad down the stretch. Right. Tennessee and Kentucky are the only teams who have looked consistently good in the last few weeks. So in the SEC, I really think Kentucky's just going to steamroll their way through.
No sleepers, no Cinderellas. Okay, so we got the chalk, as they call it in the world. So what are you thinking? Give me 2 picks today.
So tonight,
let's talk about it.
Tonight I got another weak board night because we got teams like Vermont are 16-point favorites tonight, and games like that where. I mean, it's just hard to pick. So what I'm going to do, I got a parlay for you today, JC.
Oh, a two-teamer.
A parlay a day keeps the bookie away. Today I have North Carolina. They're -3.5 against Virginia Tech. We're going to take the money line. North Carolina money line. You just need North Carolina to win straight up. We're going to parlay that. That means you need both of these bets to win in order to win, and usually you get better odds than usual. This will probably be playing around even, maybe a little better. I like Pittsburgh money line against Virginia Tech. They're only a 1-point favorite. That's good value on the parlay.
What's North Carolina's money line?
It should be around -165. I've seen it from -165 to -180.
Right, so I lost that last week with the New York Islanders. It means I lost $16 to win 10. All right, I got the Nashville Predators in hockey tonight at Montreal, laying 115. That means I'll bet $15 to win 10. No, it doesn't. It means I'll bet $11.50 to win $10. So I got the Nashville Predators, and you stole my Carolina, but instead of playing the money line, I think they're just going to cover easily with a 3.5. So give me North Carolina -3.5. You got North Carolina on the money line.
Just that parlay and
North Carolina and
parlay North Carolina and Pittsburgh.
All right, Pittsburgh. We got it. Pittsburgh parlay. Who knows what that would pay? But if it wins, it wins. And I'll take the Tar Heels -3.5 and
Also,
the Nashville Predators.
Got another one tonight. The Lakers in the NBA. They're playing in Brooklyn.
Okay.
Brooklyn is 11.5 point favorites. I was leaning Brooklyn hard. I was thinking about this hard last night in the spread quarters, folks. It was hard to pick. I ended up going over 223.5. The Lakers have been playing great basketball, as everybody knows. They're scoring at will. If you watch that Clippers game on Sunday, they were just targeting Lou Williams every single time, getting a switch with LeBron or with Anthony Davis or even with Rondo sometimes. I think that they come out tonight. I don't know who covers in the 11.5. That's a weird spread. The Lakers could come out, win by 30. They could lose this game as well. This is the NBA. We just don't know. What I do know is there will be a lot of points scored in this. There won't be a lot of defense played. You look at who the Lakers played in the last weekend. Clippers, Bucks, and then Zion Williamson had to be guarded by LeBron as well. Nice. I think they're a little bit broken down. I think they might be a little tired defensively. That doesn't really show up on the offense in the NBA. I like the over 223.
Right. Over 223 Lakers. There you go. Jackie Spreads is with us every Tuesday and Thursday, brought to you by Port Charlotte Dentistry. Taylor, let's roll a break right now, and we'll be back with the QB for the second segment. And we've got Chris Leak at 8:30.
Time out! Time out! Hey! Time out! Time out! Time out! There we go. Good.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills.
Let's give them something to cheer for now.
Our Gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security, small enough to serve you, large enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Gators Dockside, wings, ribs, seafood, and beer. Area Rug Masters, your #1 choice for rug cleaning. And Pound Hurt, preferred personal injury attorneys.
Our touchdown sponsors are Radware Promotional Materials, Doreen Wiebe Realtor, Caldwell Banker M.M. Parish, Gator BTW, Campus USA Credit Union, Celebration Point Town Center, Miapa Latin Cafe, Davis Gainesville Chevrolet, Okita America Martial Arts and After School, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, The Keys Grill and Piano Bar, UF Mover Guys, The Digital Mortgage Guy, Adams Ribs, Cloud9 Spa, Wrap Spot, Coldstone Creamery, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Center State Bank, and Style Cuts.
If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, you can visit our website, potupwithshane.com, and click on the advertise button or call Freddie Wiebe at 352-284-3733.
Again, thank you for all the great businesses that support the show. Please remember, if you like what we are doing here, thank our sponsors and support the businesses that support us.
Looking, still looking. He's going for the end zone. He's got a touchdown.
Welcome back to Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. John Cornell, Shane Matthews on a Tuesday morning. Hey, folks, Celebration Point is where the Gators come to celebrate with premium brands like Bass Pro Shop, Tommy Hilfiger, Hotel Indigo, Nike Medici's, Regal Cinemas, and coming soon, the HBC's new restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. We will see you at Celebration Point where the Gators come to celebrate. So JC, what you got?
I was just
anything
I was
interesting?
Just thinking about. Well, I was just thinking about what Jackie said there in our prior segment, and the tournament is meant for folks like him, and for us who are casual viewers. I just think it's so much fun to watch. There are 3 days that community gets excited, and that's March Madness, the Super Bowl, and Thanksgiving.
Well, it all starts pretty much today. Some of the smaller tournaments are over. Some have their championship games tonight and tomorrow. But the big boys kick it off today with, as he said, the ACC tournament.
Yeah.
SEC tournament starts tomorrow. Florida will play the winner on Thursday around 3:30 of Ole Miss, Georgia.
Right.
Let's go to, speaking of, this is why I love the March Madness, the conference tournaments, because we already had an upset last night. Last second shot, our play of the day, which is brought to you by Area Rug Masters, your number one choice for all of your area rug cleaning services at 352-448-5999. It's a last second shot. St. Mary's upsets number 14 BYU on a last second shot by Jordan Ford. So now they get a date for the championship against the Gonzaga Bulldogs.
What does that do to BYU? They still good?
Well, they're in. They're in.
They were the two seed in that
they're ranked 14th in the country.
So they are in for sure, yes. But the Gales trying to cut away into the thing, and certainly these bubble teams do not want teams to be Cinderella stories in these other smaller mid-major tournaments because it could take a spot away from them. So Jackie Spreads talks about Mississippi State intrigues him. Well, that's a team
they've intrigued me all year.
Yeah, but they
have point guard issues.
But they are a bubble team, right? So they need some things to happen. They need teams like I don't know, just these mid-major teams that are trying to get in with these records that may not overly impress, or Cinderella stories, not to come through, and then they need to win some games and get to the weekend and maybe even the final game, which means Mississippi State needs to win 3 games or maybe at least 2. That would include their games on Thursday and Friday. So,
well, it's a big weekend of sports because you got March Madness, not March Madness, but conference tournaments starting. But you got Gator Nationals here in town. Are you going to head out to the racetrack?
I'm going to miss that, but I've been so many times in the past. There's nothing that will shake your bones more than a Top Fuel dragster or funny car.
TPC
I will not make TPC.
Weekend.
I'll be in Dallas. I'm going to go watch the Dallas Stars play.
That sounds miserable.
I'm going to go watch the Dallas Stars play the San Jose Sharks. Look, I get excited about the NHL playoffs, even though you don't understand
it. It's not the playoffs.
I don't care. But they're playing like it's the playoffs. Did you see the fights between Boston and
you
Tampa
would rather
Bay,
watch
the Lightning the other night?
You would rather watch Dallas play San Jose in a meaningless hockey game.
I don't think it's meaningless when you're trying to position yourself for the playoffs. These guys play
TPC is one of the best golf tournaments out there.
You got to remember, these are Canadian and European farmer boys going at each other, and they don't care. It doesn't matter. They fly into each other. It's great stuff. And yes, the TPC. So I haven't been to the TPC 100,000 times. I'm not saying. Look, the TPC is great to go and socialize and have fun, but really,
I'd rather watch it on
the
TV.
weekend, you would rather watch it on TV to see who wins because you can't really tell sometimes.
Taylor, let me read this Facebook Live comment right here. I can't. Yeah, there you go. This is from Chris, and it's brought to you by Pound Hurt, your preferred personal injury attorneys. Chris says, "Good morning, Shane and CJ. You're just CJ now.
CJ.
Peanut butter and jelly." Chris from McClenny. "I think the basketball team is going to be a whole lot better next year. Go Gators." They might. It's going to be interesting to see if Scotty Lewis decides to go pro or what have you. But they got a lot of players coming back.
There's my mom.
I think they have a chance to make a little run. Hopefully, they'll play well in Nashville.
Well, it's
stay out of the country bars.
Expectations have to be up. I mean, you expect to beat Georgia again or whoever, and then you're going to play Mississippi State. This is a great chance to capture that game that they lost here at home, and get into Friday. That's a tough road. I mean, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, if they win, that's 4 straight games if they win the tournament, right? Or if they play in the championship, you're going to play 4 straight games. That's why getting that second bye was important, but they couldn't finish off Kentucky, which was
I asked Dan about that yesterday because
what did he say about that?
He says it doesn't matter if you play 5 because these kids are used to playing AAU tournaments where you play 3 or 4 games a day.
Yeah, no,
they're young.
That.
I mean,
it's
not that big a deal.
And that's a good point, I guess. But I do think that teams are fresher sometimes when they have a couple extra buys. So we'll see. I don't know. I just know that there is going to be some team out there that we don't talk about or haven't talked about that's just going to shock the world. It's called the Cinderella Stories. And one of the bracket busters you may want to keep your eye on, and I was looking at this driving in this morning, is a team called East Tennessee State University.
Their Buccaneers are a very good team.
They are big down low. They're an older team, experienced type team, and they could be that Murray State team that we used to watch that came out of nowhere, or Valparaiso or somebody like that. I don't know. I'm just kind of thinking of who would be some of these bracket busters, because if you're ever going to win a bracket, QB, you got to take some dogs to win some of these games.
Well, we got to wait till we see the bracket.
Of course
then we can
do.
do that.
Of course we do. They've already got East Tennessee slated to play like Michigan and all this. So you've got this these predictions and Joe Lunardi's and all this trying to figure out who's going to do what, but we really don't know anything until after these conference tournaments. And the conference tournaments are great. There's no doubt they're great. What is more important, the conference tournament or the regular season?
Honestly,
yes. Honestly, don't lie to me.
Honestly, neither one of them matter unless you're trying to get in the big dance.
Well,
because the ultimate goal, when you start your season, basketball starts November. Coach is going to write your goals on the board. You know what the number one goal is?
Get in the tournament.
Get in the tournament. Once you get in the NCAA tournament, that's the number one goal.
Right. So,
because I asked Dan yesterday, I was like, if you look at Florida, for example, how important, not only just Florida, but every team in the SEC, how important is it going to Nashville and trying to win the tournament? Now, when you lace up the sneakers and they tip the ball off, you're going to compete. But it's more important for a team like Mississippi State or Arkansas now than it is a Kentucky, Auburn, Florida, or LSU.
Right. Those teams are playing for seeding. I get that.
Well, no, but the other teams are trying to get in the tournament.
No, totally. Understood. But, you look at Mississippi State. Here's a team that finished in the top 4. That means they got one of the 2 extra bye days. They won some games. They won at Florida, okay? But Florida's automatic all of a sudden. Mississippi State has to play hard and win a few games to get in. So the regular season for them really isn't the big deal. To them, maybe it's the tournament. For Florida, it's probably what they did in the regular season, which qualifies them now as an automatic bid to get in.
That's the important part is the regular season to automatically get in the tournament.
Yeah.
Now, on the other hand, if you're, like I said, a Mississippi State or Arkansas, one of those type teams, their most important part of the year now is in Nashville trying to win a few games to get in the tournament.
I agree.
JC, what you had some NFL news you wanted to tell me.
I mean, it just cracks me up how I've got folks who I tell I'm doing a podcast with, and I'm going on with Jackie Spreads today. I'm going on with you today. And so what do they do during the 1 hour I'm on?
They're texting you on
They
purpose.
call me on the phone. All right, so in the NFL, what bothers me is this Dak Prescott story. And the reason why it bothers me is because I can't believe he hasn't just taken Jerry's offer and run with it. And here's the story. Dak Prescott is right now yet to sign a contract that will pay him $33 million per year with $105 million guaranteed. Guaranteed. That means nothing can happen that won't get him that money. He is guaranteed to get it, $105 million. He hasn't signed it. So why is this? I just try to understand. Why is this? Well, Carson Wentz, Jared Goff, and Russell Wilson each get similar contracts, right? That's what they get per year. Well, I looked at this, and I looked at, since 2016, some of the numbers, and this is what the agent is telling Dak. The agent is saying, listen, your completion percentage since 2016 is better than Russell Wilson's. Your QBR rating is better than Russell Wilson's. Your passing yards is more than Russell Wilson's. That's why you go for this kind of money. And I don't know if dealing with Jerry
but the
Jones
eyeball test tells you Russell Wilson's the better quarterback.
Well, it does, but it also is a league
stats
that's run
are
off numbers. Too.
That's not true, that's
true?
why.
Really, it's not true. You don't think agents don't use that
That's
for
what.
negotiating?
That's why
Of
he's
course
being.
they do.
That's why it's stupid that he's using it because
Well, maybe
JC.
it is,
how
but-
many times does the Cowboys have to come from behind?
No, I
And
know
completion percentage and yards and all that stuff.
No,
those stats lie sometimes.
Well, they do, but here's the thing: Eli got more money than Peyton, and was he a better quarterback than Peyton? No. So I think it's one of those things where it just comes down to who are you talking to and what can you expect. But here's what I think could happen: he goes up there and tells Jerry, "Forget it." They then franchise him. He loses money through the franchise tag, and Dallas will likely lose him in 1 to 2 years. So I don't know. It's a dangerous game to play when you've got money that's guaranteed $105 million. You're the top 5, one of the top 5 paid quarterbacks. You're Aaron Rodgers money right now.
He should take it and
I
be
can't
happy as
believe he
heck.
hasn't taken it.
And
I can't believe
they're
letting,
offering it.
Well, and I can't believe he's letting his agent do this to him.
See, John even agrees with me.
No, well, of course. Everybody feels like that is a crazy contract. Why wouldn't you take that? And so I'm telling you, the only reason I can come up with, which makes any amount of sense at all, is what his agent's telling him. And what his agent's telling him is that his numbers are as good as some of those other guys. Period. And Eli got more than Peyton. And I'm not taking Eli over Peyton. I'm just not doing it.
Well, I agree, but Eli did win 2 Super Bowls. Dak has yet to.
So did Peyton, by the way.
Right, but I would take Eli over Dak Prescott.
Well, I'm just saying right now, Dak Prescott's getting a $105 million guarantee offer. Eli's not going to play. So, that might be what you do. But
no, I'm not talking about right now. I'm talking about Eli in his younger
different
age.
Different term, different times as well. So I see that. The Giants were a lot better when Eli was winning than they are here or have been in the last 3 or 4 years.
But my point is if I'm sitting in there and I'm the people negotiating this contract from the Cowboys standpoint, you could throw all those numbers at me there, boss.
No, I know.
But a lot of them were in mop-up duty.
It's not going to get
and
paid.
we didn't get to the playoffs.
Yeah, well, that's a fact.
Yeah, so we're going to take our second time out of the program here. We're going to come back. We're going to be joined by Chris Leak, all-time leading passer.
What he thinks Dak should do.
He'll probably say, take it.
It's crazy not to. 8:30, we'll be right back.
You're watching and listening to Pot Up with Matthews in the morning.
Time out! Time out! Hey! Time out! Time out! Time out! There we go. Good.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills.
Let's give them something to cheer for now.
Our Gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security, small enough to serve you, large enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Gators Dockside, wings, ribs, seafood, and beer. Area Rug Masters, your #1 choice for rug cleaning. And Pound Hurt, preferred personal injury attorneys.
Our touchdown sponsors are Radware Promotional Materials, Doreen Wiebe Realtor, Caldwell Banker M.M. Parish, Gator BTW, Campus USA Credit Union, Celebration Point Town Center, Miapa Latin Cafe, Davis Gainesville Chevrolet, Okita America Martial Arts and After School, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, The Keys Grill and Piano Bar, UF Mover Guys, The Digital Mortgage Guy, Adams Ribs, Cloud9 Spa, Wrap Spot, Coldstone Creamery, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Center State Bank, and Style Cuts.
If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, you can visit our website, potupwithshane.com, and click on the Advertise button or call Freddie Wiebe at 352-284-3733.
Again, thank you for all the great businesses that support the show. Please remember, if you like what we are doing here, thank our sponsors and support the businesses that support us.
Looking, still looking. He's going for the end zone. He's got a touchdown.
Welcome back to Pot Up with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. John Cornell, Shane Matthews on a Tuesday morning. We're going to head to the Titan MRI hotline now. And we're going to be joined by Florida's all-time leading passer, national championship quarterback, Chris Leak. Chris, welcome to the program. How are you, my man?
Shane, John, appreciate you having me, man. It's always a pleasure to come on.
Absolutely.
You
well,
bet.
Chris, we're going to talk a little bit about your career and then what you're doing now. I want folks to go back. You grew up in the Charlotte, North Carolina area, but correct me if I'm wrong, but, nowadays these college coaches – or with all the 7-on-7 and young kids going to camps and stuff, they're offering 7th and 8th graders so-called scholarships. But I want to say you were the first one to ever really get an offer in like 7th or 8th grade. Isn't that correct?
Yeah, I was one of the first. Wake Forest, Jim Caldwell was the head coach at that time, and I came to camp, and I think obviously my brother being as good as he ended up being the #1 dual threat quarterback in the country at the end of his career, and obviously he decided to go to Wake. But little brother came in as an 8th grader, and did pretty well in camp, and it was enough to get an offer for sure.
Chris, tell me a little bit about what it was like when you were being recruited to come to Florida, out of out of Charlotte, right?
Yes.
Out of North Carolina, and
Yeah,
Ron Zook, lots of energy guy comes in. Tell us what that experience was like for you.
I'll tell you what, it was tough. I mean, you guys know what it's like to. You just look at it from a basketball perspective. Now that we're in March Madness, you got NC State, North Carolina, you got Duke, you got Wake Forest, you got. I mean, it was really tough for me to leave my home state.
Yeah.
Because that was the expectation for, you're that highly recruited in your own state. You're expected to stay in your own state, and you've seen a lot of guys kind of fall into that trap. But you know what? Ron Zook, he came in and, he set up. He pretty much laid out a plan for me to develop year after year, and that was really impressive to me. It helped me. It was a big trust factor as far as that went, especially on my official visits. And Rex Grossman was there, and there was a situation where if Rex stayed, I could redshirt learn underneath him, and if he left, then I'll have a chance to compete for the starting job, which ended up happening. So it was there was a plan set in place for my development, and that's when you can really begin to trust your coaching and somebody, because they have your best interest at heart, as everybody knows. Everybody who knows Coach Zook personally, they know how upstanding a guy he is.
You had quite a career. I mean, you stayed all 4 years. You played Florida. You won the national title in 2006. And certainly that was a special time for all Florida fans because we didn't have that expectation, I don't think, going into that year. But then you guys really turned it on and had one of the best games Florida football has ever seen against Ohio State on that day. Do you think about that or talk to any of your former teammates about that day still? Is it still fresh for you, even though it was way back in 06, as I say?
Yeah, I mean, you can it's just like for a quarterback. I know it's you have that memory where you remember play after play and detail after detail. I'm sure Shane can still remember those Birmingham SEC championship games. So it's they never go away, especially the hits. That's for sure. But I mean, it's football is such a detailed game. For a quarterback and having to understand different situations, it's you definitely learn it and you definitely reminisce, especially nowadays, because it's like the older you get, the better you were as a player back then. So that's usually how it goes.
Yeah. We're speaking with Chris Leak, former Gator quarterback, all-time leading passer, national championship quarterback in 2006. Chris, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I believe you played for offensive coordinator. You had Ed Zombrecker, Larry Fedora, and Coach Mullen. How difficult was it to have a different coordinator, those many in 4 years?
Yeah. It was tough. It was tough because, I mean, there was no mistake that my gift as far as being a quarterback was throwing the football. I mean, I was if you look at today's, I was an air raid type of quarterback. My gift was throwing the ball and being able to read defenses and move the ball downfield through the air, and to having to adjust year after year after year, it's tough, especially with when Dan and Urban came in with the spread option. It was definitely an adjustment because that team was built to be a more pro style balanced team, and as I matured, we became more of a passing team. So it was a tough adjustment for not just me. I mean, the offensive line. Everyone, because it changed once your offense changes. Shane, you guys know this. If your offense is a passing offense, your defense is a certain defense. That maybe they're more of a bend but not break. If you're more of a run style, power run, your defense is probably going to be a little bit more aggressive. It's just the way the offense kind of sets the tone for how the team shapes throughout the years, and to change that 3 years in a row, it's tough. It's tough if it's a lot of moving pieces, a lot of personnel that you have to deal with. But you know what? We were able to adapt. 22 seniors on that championship team. We were able to adapt and get the job done at the end of the day.
We got a text here on the Titan MR text line. Larry asks, ask Chris what he thinks he could have done in a Steve Spurrier style offense.
I would have put up a lot more yards.
Yeah.
Because I mean, just watching you, Shane, and Danny and Rex, I'll tell you what, they call it the fun and gun for a reason. And being able to check at the line of scrimmage and those type things, having a little more of that freedom would have definitely been a lot of fun to watch. I know that for sure.
Well,
but that was always something I would like to think about, because when Coach Spurrier could have came, but he went to South Carolina, that was something that you had in the back of your mind during that time.
Well, and in spite of all that, you named those names, Shane, Rex, Danny, and yet you have the record for the most passing yards in Florida football history. And I don't know if enough people truly, I'm sure they appreciate that, but I would almost be willing to guess that if you ask that question to some casual fans, they may not remember that you had more yardage than, say, Danny Werfel. So that is really something, and I think that's impressive. And talk about Coach Mullins again. Now, he's running this team now. He's gotten certainly the results that Florida fans had hoped for, Chris, and maybe even exceeded expectations. What is your expectation as we go into year 3 with Dan Mullen? And could this be the year that perhaps they unseat Georgia and get back to Atlanta?
Yeah, well, to answer your first question, I could. The fact, the whole record and everything, that'd be a really good Aflac trivia question.
I think it would. I think it would.
But but yeah, I mean, I think Dan's he's done an awesome job, especially getting the pieces together within the recruiting, because everybody knows that's where the real battle comes, especially when you have Georgia and Alabama and those guys doing so well in the recruiting process in the state of Florida. But it's establishing that presence first in the state. That was definitely what needed to change first and foremost. And then you have your strength and conditioning, which is huge. People overlook the strength and conditioning coaches, but you spend more time with them as a player than you do your position coaches. So that aspect of it, to me, is where he kind of hit the nail on the head. And I think that's reminiscent of what he learned under Urban. The one thing that I was most impressed about Coach Meyer is the staff that he put around him. Because when you look at the amount of head coaches that were underneath him that now, I mean, it's incredible. So, but I have high expectations. You always try to not to jump out of your skin at times, especially when it comes to when you have to play in the SEC and you see the gauntlet that you have to go through in October, because we all know how that can be. But it's going to be a high expectation season for us, and I'm really looking forward to Kyle Trask blossoming more and more, because he's only going to get more and more comfortable with the more and more reps he gets throughout the season. So I'll be definitely up there this spring to see how the guys are doing, and it'll be really fun.
Chris, talk a little bit about your relationship while playing under Coach Mullen, what he did for you as a player, and a little bit about this year. It kind of reminded me a little bit of your senior year, you as the so-called thrower, kind of like Trask was, and then they'd insert Emory every now and then for some of the quarterback runs, how they did with Tebow your senior year. But talk a little bit about your relationship while playing under Mullen and how he made you a really good quarterback.
Yeah, well, the first year it was kind of we're filling each other out. They came in. Obviously, they had Alex Smith, who's the number 1 overall pick out from Utah, and they came in. We studied a lot of the Utah film, because a lot of the offense back then was what Utah did, and it was kind of a filling out year as far as what works, what will work, and what won't work in the SEC at that different level of football. And it was obviously there were times, because we lost against LSU, and we had tough runs against Alabama that year, even though we were ranked high, and it was tough. It was tough trying to figure out all the pieces and figure out what works, what doesn't work. That was Coach Mullen's first year as the guy that's you're calling the players as offensive coordinator. So it was a big year for us to get comfortable. And that's tough to do when you're playing an SEC schedule, as you guys know. But the real change came was in the spring. I would say that off season, where I can just tell you this. The biggest change for me was the first year was play calling. It was pretty much we had one play call, and we would stick with it. It wasn't really a lot of adjustments, which is the same thing that they did at Utah for the most part. But obviously, you guys know in the SEC you're going to get different looks: 3-4, 4-3, 3-3-5, 4-2-5, and it can change at the blink of an eye pre-snap. So being able to, what happened our last year together in 2006, I was able to go to the line with 3 play calls. I was able to call 3 plays in the huddle and go to check what looked best. So that was huge for me as far as being able to handle more information, and that's where the trust and the because Dan kind of just gave me the offense and helped me operate it and be able to check at the line of scrimmage just about every play.
We have a text here on the Titan MR text line. Lisa wanted me to ask you, what's your favorite moment as a Gator football player?
Oh, wow. I would say she says a football player, right? So obviously the championship.
Hold that crystal.
Speaks a lot. Yeah, getting that crystal ball. I mean, that's the mission from day one. So that's a pretty easy question. But I would say my biggest accomplishment, I would say just as a Gator period, is definitely graduating. That was something that my parents stressed to me day in and day out. Is just make sure you graduate. And it was awesome because I graduated on my dad's birthday, and anybody who knows me knows how influential my dad has been to my life and my football career. So that was a special day for me, being able to speak at graduation and spend an interview on his birthday.
Chris, another great moment for you perhaps as a Gator would have been that trip you and Urban and the team took to Washington, D.C. when, there's a picture of you standing literally right next to George W. Bush, and he's looking at you, and he's cracking up. I don't know what joke you told him, but give us a little idea of what that experience was like for you and your teammates walking through the White House and enjoying Washington, D.C. with your coach and seeing the president hold a Florida Gator jersey.
Yeah, that was fun. Because not everybody can go through life and say, I got to address or speak at the White House, and that was something that first of all, I was told like the day of with like maybe a half an hour, and I was like, what? I'm speaking? So that was a big surprise for me, and I was pretty nervous when I went up there. But,
I would think so.
Yeah, I tried to handle it as best I could, but that was fun because President Bush, at the time, he grabbed the ball like a running back, and so that was fun. He was fun loving. He loved football, even though he probably loved Texas more than anything. Right. But it was fun joking around and kind of just being there and the atmosphere and everything that the White House is about.
And who would have thought 2 years later a lot of those guys were going right back there in 2008. So you've had quite an experience being a Gator. You love your school. After Florida football finished, give us a little idea of what your experience was like being drafted and playing and showing up in Chicago and just kind of being an NFL player.
Right. Yeah. Going to Chicago and at the time Rex Grossman was the quarterback, yeah. So I was there with Rex Grossman, Alex Brown. So a lot of a part of me felt at home, and I tell you what, and I don't think I've ever got a chance to tell Shane this, but it was the amount of staff members who spoke well about Shane and his time in Chicago was phenomenal, and my respect for Shane just went up the roof, and obviously over the time me and Shane got to know each other, it's just gotten bigger and bigger. But that was just what he did, his production, his performance during his time there, and just Gator quarterbacks in general. It gave me confidence going into that season and being around those guys. That was a fun time for me, and obviously the city of Chicago is it's an awesome city to live in and be in. So that was a fun time. So.
Chris, let everybody know what you're doing now. I know you're working with a lot of young quarterbacks around the state, mostly based out of Orlando, but let everybody know what's going on now.
Yeah, so my academy, Airstrike Passing Academy, still going strong. It's I'm covering now about 18 counties throughout the state. So I have quarterbacks, youth, middle school, high school, just about everywhere, and it's a lot of fun. I get to help young quarterbacks, as you know, Shane, and you guys, how important fundamentals are with the 7-on-7s and Elite 11s and FBUs and All-American games, Under Armour. It's a lot. It's a lot going on, especially in the off season around this time of year. It's very busy for these kids, and it's become, I would say, like the AAU type side of football, where kids are going week in and week out, practicing and competing. So it's been great for me to find my niche in that as a quarterback trainer, and it's been a lot of fun.
If anyone's listening and watching and they want to get involved or send their kid to you, how can they get a hold of you?
Well, they can go to airstrikepassing.com. Airstrikepassing.com. That's the website, and they can sign up, and we can trying to hopefully make the next Florida Gator quarterback. How about that?
I love it. I love it. Well, Chris, hey, man, this has been a real treat to spend a few minutes with you this morning, and we'll probably be checking in with you as we get closer to football season, and we certainly want to wish you continued success with your academy and all the things that you're doing in Florida.
Awesome, guys. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
All right, that's Chris Leak, your all-time leading pastor here at the University of Florida, doing good things with young kids down there. Again, that is Airstrike Passing Academy. It's just airstrikepassing.com. And he does a great job down there.
Boy, that time, QB, going back to 06 and 07 and 08, those were some really interesting years. 07, of course, was difficult for the football team, but 06 and 08, and then you combined with what the basketball team during that time, and Florida had a lot of attention. And Chris Leak was really one of those players that I just remember seeing would always show up to the ballpark, play as hard as he could, played well, and there wasn't a whole lot of fanfare about Chris Leak. He just did his job. He was one of those lunch pail guys to me, and he just came to work every day. And, that game in 06 was really special. And of course, I'll never forget how the defense played that game as well. The way they hammered, who was it, Troy Hill or Troy Brown? Or,
who are you talking about?
The Ohio State quarterback.
Troy Smith.
Smith, excuse me.
Heisman Trophy winner.
Troy Smith, Heisman Trophy winner. Never would have, yeah. And the way Florida just manhandled that Ohio State team in 06. That was just some kind of night right there.
Yeah, he threw a great ball, very catchable
And they
ball.
took the kickoff back to go up 7-0 to lead in the game. And they were probably thinking blowout up there in Columbus. And then look what happened.
41-14.
That's exactly what they got. They got a blowout, but from the wrong group. And what a great night that was for Florida.
Yes, and at Center State Bank, we put business first. We are the largest community bank in the state of Florida and understand that small businesses need a community business partner that they can rely on. Center State has 5 convenient Alachua County locations to serve you better. To learn more, visit centerstatebank.com. Center State Bank, member FDIC.
Nice Facebook Live commentary coming in, reaction from our Chris Leak discussion there. April says, love Chris Leak. He was always a class act. I agree. And who else did we have, Taylor? Give me the other name. Come on. Julie, Gator Nation, thanks you, Chris. Thank you, Julie. 2020 is the year.
And those Facebook comments are brought to you by Pound Hurt, your preferred personal injury attorney.
We love having Facebook Live come in here and tell us what they're thinking of what we're saying, what we're talking about, who we're talking to. And Chris Leak. So that was a good one, QB. Glad you hooked that one up.
Yep. It's great, though. He's exactly right. You could poll the entire nation with one of those Aflac trivia questions that they put on.
Danny
Who's the all-time leading? Well, some people would say Tebow.
Well,
I'm talking about I'm not talking about Gator fans. I'm talking about it. Just if you polled the nation,
but you would think Spurrier era quarterbacks. You, Danny, Rex, for sure. Rex, right? Cresser, maybe even. But
no, Cresser didn't start. He only started one game.
That's right. He didn't play much as a starter. I take that back. But my goodness, Chris Leak was the answer, and. So when you think about who did he throw to?
He threw to you put me on the spot here now.
I'm sorry. Well, I see that's why I put you on the spot because I can't remember.
Dallas Baker,
the touchdown maker.
Bubba Caldwell.
Okay.
Who played for the Broncos? Not Riche, his brother Bubba.
Oh, Bubba Caldwell.
Riche was with Rex.
Okay.
Bubba came later with Chris.
So this is just this is the kind of thing that really
those are his two main guys.
So with all of that, everything that happened, he must have thrown a lot of passes, that went for big yards. But Cedric says you guys have an awesome show. Thank you, Cedric. Thank you for watching us.
Yes, and if you enjoyed hearing from Chris Leak, please share our podcast on your Facebook pages and on your YouTube and all that.
Spotify.
However you can share things, share it.
Well, you're talking to two 90s guys here, folks. We're learning, but what we can do is talk sports, and we love doing it every morning, 8 to 9. QB, that was a good program, and tomorrow we get started with some conference basketball. We've got Florida Gator baseball
tonight. They got the semis are here.
The Seminoles are in town. It's going to be
semis. They're not the Seminoles. The semis.
The semis are in town. Fantastic weather is going to be on hand for a night at the ballpark. I would be shocked if we don't have 5,000 fans. In fact, I know there's going to be 5,000 fans. The students are back in town. Florida State Gator baseball. It's a great way to
not
spend
sure
the
who our
evening.
guests are the rest of the week because I have some techs out there
I'm working
too.
on that men's
I have
coach,
Mike
too,
Morgan
Brian
from the
Shelton.
SEC Network that is hoping to call in here before tournament play starts tomorrow. Also, Michael Collins from ESPN.
Michael Collins, and I'm trying
He's busy
hard.
over at TPC.
Yeah, no, he's
and by the way, I talked to Sully yesterday on the phone.
Yeah, Kevin will be here.
And he wants to. He's got a lot of stuff going on, obviously,
Sure.
right now. But he's going to try to figure out a
way to do it
this week.
And then I'm doing the same thing with Brian Shelton, who he coaches the men's tennis team at Florida. But I'd like to hear some of his background and why they're so good at 6th in the country right now. That's a good program they have going on over there. So let's see if Florida can go 17-0 tonight in baseball. I would be not surprised if that were the case. They have had a lot of success against Florida State. Should be a lot of fun at the ballpark. We'll have to talk about that tomorrow.
Yep. And today's show is a wrap brought to you by Wrap Spot. A vehicle wrap from Wrap Spot will give your business years of brand recognition and increased sales. Call Wrap Spot today. We'll see you tomorrow.